This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Look, there's no easy way to segue into this. What I'm about to describe is some painful stuff. Life's interesting. Sometimes it just sucks. Sometimes your heart gets broken. My heart's been broken several times, and not that long ago. It may be broken again by the time this book goes to paperback, and again for the audiobook. I'm not telling you anything that's not the obvious. We all go through pain and heartache. It's part of the journey. Just when we think we're on the upswing and have achieved some kind of breakthrough or closure, something else hits. It's like the family I once heard about who left California because they were scared of earthquakes and moved to Colorado, where a massive boulder fell on their house. That son of a bitch coyote. Our destiny is not usually what we expect it to be. I've known lots of people who've tried to plan exactly how things would turn out for them, and then when life didn't go according to plan, they ended up in denial. They just couldn't accept that their endpoint was different than what they'd envisioned. Acceptance of endings has been pretty difficult for me, too. It's painful for me right now just to end this paragraph. There's a great quote about the difficulty of endings that comes directly from movie star and occasional hero Tom Cruise. He said, "Nothing ends nicely. That's why it ends." That's true of a relationship for sure, but the quote could also apply to the end of a life. That's right, I'm using a Tom Cruise quote to introduce my personal stories of loss. You always have to be careful to choose the right Tom Cruise quote. If you're looking at your father in a coffin, and up comes your uncle, Ralph Cramden style, yelling into the casket, "Show me the money, baby," I'd say that's not the appropriate quote for the moment. Maybe that's where the expression "cry uncle" came from. I looked up the roots of the expression "cry uncle," and it involves being tickled by a friend to the point of begging for help from your uncle. It also refers back to ancient Roman days when young boys would yell out in Latin, "Patrue me patruissime," which translated means, "Please tell your uncle to take his finger out of my butthole." I'm not sure if that's the exact translation, but wherever it came from, it too did not end well. So the Cruise quote was, "Nothing ends nicely." Sometimes a person's life does in fact end relatively nicely compared to how it could have ended, especially if there's suffering involved. And for people you care deeply about, the less suffering they have to go through, the better. Having lost quite a few people over the years, I know that when someone dies or is dying, you just want to ease their pain, even end it if you can. That's why euthanasia can be simpler than divorce. Oh, wait, I didn't type that. But wait, you read it, so I must have. Silly me. Or maybe if you read like I do, you just skimmed, and so it didn't register and I'm safe. I've been talking a lot with my friends lately about death and divorce. I've been obsessed with these subjects for years, actually. Sometimes it seems like death, the finality of it, is easier to go through than a breakup. I wouldn't imagine most people share that opinion, yet I've found when I bring it up among friends, they understand exactly what I'm talking about, or seem to, until they storm out of the dinner party crying. It's not an easy subject, death. It's up there with politics and religion, in that it tends to lead to some pretty heated discussion. If, say, you are dating someone, and you have plans to possibly have sex with them, do not bring up death. Unless the person you're dating is an undertaker, in which case you just found your way in. Inevitably, going back through our lives and remembering people we've lost makes us think of our own mortality. When I was a teenager, having a different uncle die every couple years, I never pictured myself making it past my 50s. Then losing my two sisters so young, I felt even more like a sword of Damocles was hanging over my head. When was it going to be my turn? I don't feel that way anymore. Maybe I shouldn't jinx it by putting that in print. But these days, I see myself in the future, and I try to envision a kind, horny old man walking around making people laugh whenever I can. In front of the camera, behind the camera, inserting the camera into myself, then having surgery to have it removed. Strange to imagine one's own death. When I imagine it now, I see it as a sort of dramatic, spontaneous combustion. Like I'll just be walking down the street, and from the sheer overamped energy I've gone through my entire life with, I'll blow up. Just disintegrate. But cleanly. I won't want anyone walking by me covered by my remains of the day. All of this death talk